Right, before we get into this list, I need you to watch this for just 10 seconds. A car that literally floats on water. A SUV with over 1,000 horsepower that spins 360 degrees on the spot, like a tank. An interior so luxurious that Rolls-Royce engineers would be sweating right now. These aren't concept cars. These aren't prototypes from some auto show in 2040. These are real cars that Australians can actually buy right now in 2026. And most people have absolutely no idea they exist. I'm talking about Chinese SUVs. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. Because what's happening in China's auto industry right now is genuinely one of the most insane stories in modern technology. While the rest of the world was busy making fun of Chinese cars, dismissing them as cheap knockoffs with dodgy build quality and zero soul, the Chinese manufacturers were quietly hiring the best engineers on the planet, throwing billions into research and development, and building SUVs so advanced, so luxurious, so absurdly capable that some traditional brands are starting to look a bit embarrassed. We're talking artificial intelligence built into the driving systems, interiors that feel like five-star hotel suites, charging speeds that make Tesla look slow, range figures that'll get you from Sydney to Melbourne and halfway back, and technology that genuinely feels like it's from a different decade. So today, we're counting down the 10 most luxurious Chinese SUVs that Australia can buy in 2026. And fair warning, number 3 is going to make your jaw drop. Let's get into it. All right, number 10, and we're starting with a name that's probably already on your radar, BYD. Now, BYD stands for Build Your Dreams, which honestly sounds like something a motivational poster would say. But mate, they are living up to it, because the BYD Celion 7 is their answer to the Tesla Model Y. And here's the thing about that comparison, it's not just competitive. In several areas, the Celion 7 actually wins. Let's start with how it looks, because first impressions matter, right? The Celion 7 has this razor-sharp front fascia with ultra-slim LED headlights that stretch across the entire nose of the car. It's aggressive, it's futuristic, and honestly, it looks like it should cost 20 grand more than it does. The roofline sweeps back in this athletic coupe-style arc that gives it serious presence on the road. This is not a car that blends into traffic. But here's where it gets really interesting, the interior. Walk inside the Celion 7 and you're immediately hit with this sense of calm, minimalist luxury. BYD has gone for this floating centre console design, a massive rotating touchscreen. Yes, rotating. You can flip it, landscape or portrait. And ambient lighting that wraps around the entire cabin. The materials feel genuinely premium. Soft touch everywhere you'd actually put your hands. None of that hard plastic nonsense you'd find hiding in some European SUVs that shall remain nameless. Now, performance. The AWD version of the Celion 7 puts out over 390 kilowatts, that's around 523 horsepower, and launches from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.8 seconds. In a family SUV, 3.8 seconds. For context, that's faster than a V8 Mustang. Let that sink in for a second. Range sits at around 502 kilometres on a full charge. Real-world Australian driving, you're probably looking at 420 to 450 kilometres, depending on how heavy your right foot is. And in Australia, starting from around 54,990 Australian dollars, which is genuinely remarkable when you compare it to what a comparably equipped Model Y or a European premium SUV would cost you. The Celion 7 isn't just here to compete, it's here to make you question why you'd spend more on anything else in its category. And we're only at number 10. Number 9. And this one genuinely feels like someone handed a tech startup the budget of a major car manufacturer and said, go nuts, the XPENG G9. Now, XPENG, pronounced XPENG, is one of China's most serious tech-focused car brands. And when you see the G9 in person, you understand exactly why they're considered the most iPhone-like car company in the world. From the outside, the G9 is elegant and restrained. Clean lines, flush door handles, a face that's confident without being shouty. It's the kind of car that premium buyers actually want. Something that looks sophisticated rather than trying too hard. But then you open the door and everything changes. The interior of the XPENG G9 is genuinely one of the most impressive cabin experiences in any SUV at any price point. You've got a panoramic display system that spans across the entire dashboard. We're talking a setup that makes even the latest Mercedes MBUX look a bit behind. The seats, heated, ventilated, and with massage functions that honestly rival business class on an international flight. The second row? Almost as good as the front. Heated rear seats, a dedicated rear entertainment screen, and enough legroom that tall passengers won't spend the whole trip complaining. But here's what makes the G9 genuinely special: the charging technology. The G9 uses an 800-volt electrical architecture. Now, most EVs on the market today run on 400-volt systems. Going to 800 volts isn't just a number upgrade. It fundamentally changes how fast the car can charge. With the right charger, the G9 can recover around 200 kilometres of range in just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You stop, you grab a coffee, you might check Instagram, and by the time you get back to the car, it's ready to go. That's not science fiction. That's the G9. In 2026, XPENG has also packed the G9 with their XNGP intelligent driving system, one of the most advanced driver assistance platforms available that uses cameras, radar and ultrasonic sensors to handle highway driving, automatic lane changes, and increasingly complex urban scenarios. Some people say XPENG is a few software updates away from having the most capable autonomous driving system outside of Tesla's full self-driving. And honestly, looking at the G9, I'm inclined to believe them. Number 8. Right. So this is the part of the list where things start getting properly ridiculous. Because the Zeekr 7X doesn't look like a normal car. It looks like a prototype that escaped from a cyberpunk film set and somehow ended up at a dealership. Zeekr, for those who don't know, is Geely's premium EV brand. Geely, if you're not familiar, is the Chinese conglomerate that also owns Volvo, Lotus and Polestar. So these guys know a thing or two about making premium vehicles, and the 7X is their absolute statement piece. The first thing that hits you is the front panel. Zeekr calls it the Stargate, and it's exactly as dramatic as that name sounds. Thousands of individual LEDs create this massive illuminated surface that can display animations, patterns and visual effects. When you're walking towards the car at night and it recognises you, the whole front comes alive with this light show. Is it completely over the top? Absolutely. Is it incredible? Also, absolutely. The body lines of the 7X are sharp enough to cut glass. Everything about the exterior design is deliberately aggressive and futuristic. This is not a subtle car. This is a car that wants to be looked at. Performance-wise, the 7XAWD version produces around 475 kilowatts. We're talking well over 630 horsepower, with a 0 to 100 time of around 3.8 seconds. And the charging? Zeekr uses 800-volt architecture just like the XPENG G9, so fast charging is genuinely fast. We're talking 10% to 80% in under 20 minutes on the right charger. But step inside. And this is where the 7X really earns its place on this list. The cabin is extraordinary. Every surface feels premium. The floating central console, the full-width ambient lighting system, the panoramic glass roof, everything has been considered. Nothing feels like an afterthought. The seats wrap around you like they were custom made for your body. The steering wheel has this satisfying weight to it. The sound system, standard fit, is legitimately concert hall quality. And in Australia, the 7X has actually arrived. You can buy one right now starting from around 59,990 Australian dollars. For that money, you're getting a car that would embarrass SUVs costing significantly more. The Zeekr 7X isn't just competing in its segment, it's actively humiliating it. Number 7. All right, I need you to stop for a moment and really think about this one. Because NIO has done something with the EL8 that genuinely challenges the fundamental assumption of electric vehicles. You know, the number one anxiety people have about EVs, range anxiety. The fear of being stuck somewhere with no charge, waiting 45 minutes at a charger before you can get going again. NIO looked at that problem and said, what if we just got rid of it entirely? The NIO EL8 doesn't just charge its battery, it swaps it. You pull into a NIO power swap station, and in under 5 minutes, yes, 5 minutes, a robotic system underneath the car detaches your depleted battery pack and replaces it with a fully charged one. You don't plug anything in, you don't wait, you just drive away. It's like a pit stop at a Formula One race. And NIO has swap stations installed right here in Australia. But here's the thing, the battery swap alone wouldn't put the EL8 at number 7 on this list if it wasn't also an extraordinary car in its own right. Because the EL8 is NIO's flagship 6-seater luxury SUV, and it is spectacular. The exterior is clean, sophisticated and premium without being flashy. There's an undeniable confidence to the design. Long bonnet, flowing roofline, and these distinctive NIO lighting signatures front and rear. Inside though, this is where NIO absolutely loses the plot in the best possible way. The second row of the EL8 feels like a private jet lounge. Individual captain's chairs with full recline, heated and massaged. Dedicated screens for rear passengers. footrests, a centre console with a built-in refrigerated compartment, and up front, NIO's Nomi AI system, this little circular display that sits on the dashboard, reacts to voice commands, learns your preferences over time, and genuinely makes the car feel alive in a way that's hard to describe until you experience it. 0 to 100 in 4.1 seconds, up to 510 kilometres of range, and with swap stations available, range anxiety genuinely becomes a thing of the past. The NIO EL8 isn't just a luxury SUV, it's a reimagining of what a luxury SUV is supposed to be. Number 6, right. Imagine you took a Range Rover, a VIP cinema, a 5-star hotel suite, and a private jet, and somehow combined them all into one vehicle. You'd get something close to the Li Auto L9. Li Auto is one of China's fastest growing premium car brands, and the L9 is their statement piece, a full-size 3-row, 6-seat SUV that has absolutely no interest in being subtle about how good it is. The exterior is commanding, absolutely massive presence on the road. The front lighting strip stretches the full width of the car. It's dramatic, it's imposing, and it looks like something a tech billionaire would drive to a shareholder meeting. The wheels are enormous, the proportions are perfect, and the stance, that planted, confident way it sits, makes it look permanently ready to do something impressive. But the interior is where the L9 does something genuinely extraordinary. Let's start with the screens, because there are a lot of them. Dashboard screen, passenger screen, second row entertainment screen, and then a retractable cinema screen for rear passengers. An actual cinema screen that folds out when you want it, with proper speakers to match. The second row seats recline almost completely flat. There's a refrigerated storage compartment between them. The headroom is absurd for a car that still looks athletic from outside. Third row, actually comfortable for adults, which if you've ever tried to sit in the third row of a traditional SUV, you'll know is no small achievement. Now, and this is the really clever bit, the L9 doesn't use a traditional electric powertrain. It uses what Li Auto calls EREV, Extended Range Electric Vehicle. There's a small petrol engine under the bonnet, but it never drives the wheels. It exists purely as a generator to charge the battery while you're driving. What this means in practice is that the L9 delivers a fully electric driving experience. Smooth, silent, instant torque, while completely eliminating range anxiety. Total range, around 1,315 kilometres combined, 1,315 kilometres. Sydney to Brisbane, and then some. The L9 isn't just competing with traditional luxury SUVs. It's making them look like they haven't been paying attention. Number 5. Okay, so up to this point, we've been looking at cars that are impressive and aspirational, but number 5 is arguably the most important car on this entire list for Australian buyers, because the Deepal S07 is already here, available now at dealerships in Australia today, and it might just be the best kept secret in the Australian car market right now. Deepal is a brand from Chang'an, one of China's oldest and most established manufacturers. We're not talking about some startup that launched last Tuesday. Chang'an has been making vehicles since the 1860s and has long-standing partnerships with Ford and Nissan. So when they say the S07 is built to last, there's some serious engineering heritage behind that claim. The design of the S07 is genuinely stunning. Clean, confident, premium without being aggressive. The floating roofline, the flush door handles, and the distinctive LED light signature give it a look that would be at home in a European showroom at twice the price. And the interior, minimalist luxury done properly. A 15.6-inch central touchscreen that floats above the dashboard. Soft materials everywhere, ambient lighting, a panoramic glass roof that makes the cabin feel enormous. But here's what makes the S07 genuinely exciting for Australia. The numbers. Electric powertrain, up to 218 kilowatts in the base version, with AWD options going significantly higher, range of around 520 kilometres, 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds for the performance variants. And the price? Starting from 44,990 Australian dollars. $44,990 for a car that looks and feels like this. For context, a comparably equipped Tesla Model Y starts around 58,000 Australian dollars. A BMW X3 electric, around 95,000 Australian dollars. The Deepal S07 is playing a completely different game on value, and Australians are starting to notice. If you're in the market for an electric SUV and you haven't looked at the Deepal S07, I genuinely suggest you fix that this week. Number 4, all right, this is where we leave the realm of impressive cars and enter something else entirely. The Auto M9 doesn't feel like a car. It feels like a product launch from 5 years in the future. Auto is backed by Huawei. Yes, that Huawei. The tech giant that makes your phone, your laptop, your networking equipment. They've taken everything they know about technology, artificial intelligence, and premium user experience, and they've poured it all into this. From the outside, the M9 is enormous and commanding. It's not the flashiest design on this list. There's a deliberate restraint to it, a sort of quiet confidence that says, I don't need to shout. Because once you see what's inside, nothing else needs to be said. Open the door and try not to lose your mind. The Auto M9 has, are you ready for this? 6 screens. 6. A full-width dashboard display, a passenger screen, individual screens for second-row passengers, and a massive ceiling-mounted display. We're talking 40 inches of screen real estate directly above the rear seats. Second-row passengers can watch movies on a cinema-scale screen while reclined almost fully flat in heated, ventilated, massaging seats. And all of this is powered by Huawei's HarmonyOS 4.0, the same operating system that runs their smartphones. Everything is integrated. Your phone, your car, your preferences, it all connects seamlessly. The navigation is extraordinary. The voice assistant actually understands context. And the driver assistance technology, Huawei's ADS 2.0 system, uses cameras and radar without needing LiDAR, which makes it significantly cheaper to produce and maintain. Under the bonnet, well, under the floor technically, the M9 uses the same EREV system as the Li Auto L9. Petrol generator charging the battery. Total range of around 1,400 kilometres. 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds with 6 people on board. Price in China sits between around $55,000 US dollars and $75,000 US dollars, depending on the variant. Official Australian launch hasn't happened yet, which means right now there's almost zero competition for content about this car in English. For Talk Garage Australia, that's an absolute goldmine. The Auto M9 is what happens when the world's most advanced tech company decides to make a car. And it shows. Okay, quick pause before we get into the top 3. Because I genuinely need a moment. We're halfway through this list, and we've already covered a car that charges in 5 minutes, a car with a built-in cinema, and a car backed by Huawei with 6 screens. And we haven't even got to the one that floats yet. If you're watching this and you're thinking, hang on, why haven't I heard about any of these cars before? That's a completely fair question. The short answer is the Australian automotive media has been slow to cover Chinese brands with the same depth they give European and American manufacturers. That's changing fast. But there's still a massive gap between what's actually available and what most people know about, which is exactly why videos like this one exist. And speaking of which, if you're finding this useful, do me a favour and hit subscribe, because we're going to be covering a lot more of this over the coming months. New models, comparisons, buying guides specifically for the Australian market. Good stuff. Stick around. All right, top 3, let's go. Number 3, right. I want you to picture a scenario. You're driving through regional Queensland. It's been raining for days. The road ahead is flooded. You've got no detour. You're stuck. Most cars, you wait. The BYD Yangwang U8, you drive through the water. Because the Yangwang U8 can float. This is not a joke. This is not an exaggeration. This is an actual production vehicle available to buy right now that, in an emergency flood situation, automatically seals the cabin, activates a floating mode, and can remain buoyant on the surface of water for up to 30 minutes. And it can actually propel itself while floating. I'll just let that sit there for a second. A car that floats and steers on water. But okay, let's say you're not planning on driving through any floods this weekend. Is the Yangwang U8 still worth talking about? Mate, it has 4 electric motors, 1 per wheel, each independently controlled, combined output, over 1,100 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometres per hour in 3.6 seconds, in a vehicle that weighs 3.5 tonnes. And because each wheel is independently controlled, the U8 can perform what's called a tank turn, spinning the vehicle 360 degrees on the spot without moving forward or backward. Left wheels forward, right wheels backward. Full rotation in your driveway if you want. The design matches the performance. This thing is massive, tall, imposing, aggressive, in a way that's almost intimidating. It looks like what would happen if a luxury SUV and a military vehicle had a very expensive baby. Inside, premium leather and carbon fibre throughout. Massive screens, ambient lighting, a cabin that's whisper quiet, despite the mechanical theatre happening underneath. Oh, and there's a version with a built-in drone on the roof. The drone launches automatically, follows the vehicle, and captures footage from above while you drive. A car, with its own drone, that also floats. The Yangwang U8 has already been spotted testing in Australia, which means BYD is absolutely watching this market. And when it officially arrives, it's going to break the internet. Number 2, now. Before we talk about this car, I need to give you a little history lesson. The year is 1958. China has just founded its national automotive program, and for their first truly prestigious vehicle, the car that would transport the country's most important leaders and dignitaries, they create a brand called Hongqi, which translates to red flag. For decades, Hongqi was the Chinese equivalent of a state limousine, the Rolls-Royce of the People's Republic. If you saw a Hongqi on the road in China, it meant someone very important was inside. Heads of state, presidents, generals. Fast forward to 2026, and Hongqi has taken everything that heritage represents, prestige, authority, craftsmanship, power, and poured it into a fully electric SUV, the Hongqi EHS9. And calling it impressive almost feels like an understatement. The exterior presence of the EHS9 is unlike anything else on this list. It's huge, over 5 metres long. The front grille is enormous and commanding, framed by incredibly sophisticated LED lighting. There's chrome detailing used with genuine restraint and taste. Not garish, but unmistakably premium. This is a car that parts traffic when it arrives somewhere. Inside, the EHS9 is a masterclass in traditional luxury done with modern precision. Real wood, premium leather, hand-finished surfaces, a cabin so quiet at speed that you genuinely wonder if the outside world still exists. The second row features individual captain's chairs that recline almost fully flat, with extendable footrests and a separate climate control zone. Third row passengers, in a car this size, are genuinely comfortable. Dual electric motors producing around 410 kilowatts, 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. Range of around 460 kilometres. In Europe, the EHS9 is priced between €80,000 and €100,000, but still significantly less than comparable ultra-luxury SUVs from European brands. The Hongqi EHS9 isn't just a luxury vehicle, it's a piece of Chinese automotive history, reimagined for the electric era, and when it arrives officially in Australia, it will be absolutely unlike anything else in this market. And here we are, number 1. If the other 9 cars on this list seemed impressive, advanced, maybe even a little bit ridiculous in the best possible way, the Zeekr 9X is on a different level entirely. Some people are calling it the Rolls-Royce Cullinan killer. Others are calling it the most technologically advanced SUV ever built. I'm going to let the numbers do the talking first. Up to 1,300 horsepower, 800-volt electrical architecture, with 800 kilowatt peak charging capability. Range of over 1,300 kilometres combined using that same extended range hybrid system. A suspension system that reads the road surface using sensors and adjusts individual wheel damping before the tyre reaches the bump. Let me say that again. The Zeekr 9X's suspension reacts to road imperfections before the car reaches them. It's not responding to what it feels. It's predicting what's coming. That's not a gimmick. That technology exists on Formula One cars. And now it's in a production SUV. The design of the 9X is bold without being excessive. Long bonnet, imposing stance, flush surfaces and a visual sophistication that genuinely rivals anything from Bentley or Mercedes-Maybach. The interior is where the 9X absolutely lives up to its flagship billing. Executive lounge second row, individual seats that recline to almost fully flat, with ottomans that extend to support your legs. Heated, cooled, massaged. A personalised ambient lighting system for each zone of the cabin. Electrochromic glass throughout, the kind that changes opacity at the press of a button. No sun visors needed. Sound system? Zeekr partnered with a premium audio brand to create a concert hall listening experience inside the cabin. We're talking 20 plus speakers, tuned specifically for this vehicle. And the technology stack is extraordinary. Zeekr's intelligent driving system uses cameras, radar, and ultrasonic sensors to handle increasingly complex scenarios with minimal driver input. The over-the-air software updates mean the car gets smarter over time. It's genuinely closer to a smartphone than to a traditional automobile in how it evolves. Price in China starts at around $63,000 for the base version, going up to around $95,000 for the fully loaded flagship trim. For reference, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan starts at around $700,000 Australian dollars. The Zeekr 9X delivers a comparable, and in some technical areas, superior, experience at roughly 1/10 of the price. 1/10. This is what happens when a company decides that the ceiling for what a luxury SUV can be simply doesn't exist anymore. The Zeekr 9X doesn't just compete with the best SUVs on the planet, it redefines what the best actually means. So, there you have it. The 10 most luxurious Chinese SUVs that Australia can buy, or will be able to buy very soon, in 2026. And look, I want to be honest with you for a second. 5 years ago, this list wouldn't have been possible to make. The gap between Chinese and European or American luxury vehicles was real. Build quality, refinement, technology, traditional brands had genuine advantages. But in 2026, that gap has closed dramatically, and in some areas, charging technology, software, value, Chinese manufacturers have actually taken the lead. Now I want to hear from you. If you could only pick one car from this list, which one would be sitting in your driveway tomorrow morning? The Yangwang U8 that floats and does tank turns? The Aito M9 with its 6 screens and Huawei intelligence? The Zeekr 9X that basically rewrites the rulebook for what a luxury SUV can be? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely read every single one. And if you want to see more of this, deep dives into specific models, head-to-head comparisons, buying guides specifically tailored for the Australian market, then subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we are just getting started. The Chinese automotive revolution is happening right now, right here in Australia. And honestly, it's the most exciting thing happening in the car industry. See you in the next one. Oh, and if you enjoyed this one, smash that like button and subscribe. It genuinely means the world. Catch you next time.